Great. Welcome to Welcome Talk. It's great to have you on.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got another minute here, so I'll let everyone trickle in, and then I'll start the record and introduce you, and we can go into the Crypto Exceed project. Okay, it's past, so if you're ready, Jonathan, I can start the record and introduce you. We'll also be recording it over on YouTube live stream.
Yeah, should be fine.
Welcome to the Welcome Talk community. I'm Glenn, your host. Today we have joining us Crypto Exceed. Here to speak about the project is Jonathan. Shortly we'll be talking about the two P2E universes, the Exonoverse and the Bextiverse, and the tokens and the NFTs and everything else about the Crypto Exceed project shortly. But first, can you introduce yourself, your background and experience, Jonathan?
Yeah, so first I would just like to apologize in advance. I know that we were supposed to join with our CEO, and he's a much better speaker than myself. But unfortunately, he's trying to keep up with a lot of other things as well for this launch, as you guys can imagine. So I've taken his place and I'm hoping to do it justice. So I apologize in advance on behalf of the group. So my personal experience to begin with. So I've just followed the standard business administration degree, and I was interested in economics and administration, business. And after a while, when I started applying for my first couple of jobs, I just got into consultancy. And during my consultancy career, I stumbled into Ripple. And I was part of the team of the project that was integrating Ripple into Santander Bank. Santander Ventures was one of the investors of Ripple. So there was that connection there. They were trying to do a use case with Ripple. And then in 2016, when I was working for the consultancy and working for Ripple and Santander Bank, this is when I had my first experience with crypto. I started falling for the rabbit hole of cryptos, as anyone usually follows and falls down in as soon as they learn about it. And since then, it's been an interesting ride. After the successful integration of Ripple Net into Santander Bank, and we were doing like faster payment services for Santander Bank. The project was a success. Obviously, 2016, 2017, crypto was an all-time high at the time. And there was a lot of interest for investing in other crypto projects as well. So I joined an investment management group and a multifamily office. So I was starting to advise other investors how to get into cryptos, how to invest into cryptos, how to set up their wallets, how to invest in ICOs, all of that. The journey of cryptos in 2016, 2017. So thanks to that, I just got involved with many different crypto projects, ICOs, as we usually do as well. The vast majority of them failed, crashed, and burned. But I was always very passionate about the industry. I always believed very hard in it, so I decided to continue dedicating myself towards it. I survived that winter that was pretty harsh after it crashed from, when was it, Bitcoin from $20,000 to about $3,000. But, we survived. It was still very interesting. We still believed there was still a lot of investment coming through from the traditional finance industry into cryptos. And I was trying to continue to advise and consult the traditional financial industry, how they could incorporate, how they could integrate, how they could implement blockchain and cryptos into their various systems, whether that be just using blockchain and faster data processing and validation, to just faster payments as well. I helped as well, like charities, in order to banking the unbanked, for example, which was one of the cases as well for Ripple, and trying to facilitate and integrate less advantaged people around the world and integrate them into the traditional financial system and giving them an opportunity to participate in the digital economy. So these concepts were always very interesting to me. I always liked the ideas of the philosophy behind cryptos, and even though it's gone through its crazy ups and downs, and there is a lot of negative things being said about cryptos in the press, I still believe that at the core, crypto still follows a pretty honorable and empowering ideology. And I believe at the end of the day, these dumps are the ones that remove all of the excess of the industry, and the ones that survive are only going to get stronger. Everyone is criticizing Bitcoin right now because it went from $60,000 to right now is at $16,000. But at the end of the day, they always look at the short term and they forget to look at how Bitcoin only like 3 years ago, it was like $3,000. The last pump, the last high was $20,000. 1 year before that, it was $1,000. So it's still one of the best performing assets in human history. It's still the most empowering asset in human history in terms of exchange of value, in terms of facilitating trade, especially at an international level. It's still one of the most empowering assets in order to integrating the unbanked population of this world into the digital financial ecosystem. So this is a long story short about my background and why I'm still super passionate about cryptos, let's say.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan, for the introduction. So maybe if we can start for the community investors with an introduction to the Crypto Exceed project.
Yeah, so the CEO, Daniel, I've known Daniel for the last 5-6 years. He's the one that's been spearheading this project. He is more on the sales side and then the investor side, and I'm more usually on the operational side. And my background is project management, so I try to facilitate and manage the operational side of the projects. We've worked together in the past in a couple of projects, and he was meeting a couple of developers, and he was meeting a couple of crypto ecosystem stakeholders. And the reality is that he came to me with this crazy concept, and then he was creating the storyline for me. And then I was just wrapping my head around it. It's one of these that, especially because it's gaming, it takes a little bit of time in order for you to wrap your head around, because it's the complexity of cryptos and in gaming, unless you actually stop and you start playing around with it, unless you buy cryptos and you trade it, and unless you play around with the exchanges, unless you in DeFi, unless you actually create a wallet, connect the wallet to decentralized applications, to dApps, to DeFis, to decentralized exchanges, it's very difficult for you to actually understand these concepts. So he was starting to explain to me all of these concepts, and we're just chit-chatting and exchanging ideas. And then basically it started wrapping our heads around it, because the story behind the game was he was quite interested originally in games. He was very involved in a couple of games. He always liked playing like animes. He always liked playing I remember us talking about like CryptoKitties, and then I remember us talking about Axie Infinity, and I remember us talking about various other games throughout the last couple of years of cryptos. And one of the things that we were very disappointed was with the big crash that happened with Luna and the big crash that happened with Axie Infinity. We were both investors, we were both believers in them, and we both got burnt in those projects. And then we had both of these projects really at the core, at the back of our minds. Every time we would speak with friends, every time we would speak with other community members, every time we would go to a crypto conference. And then the idea came where we wanted to start playing around with how we could potentially merge these concepts together. And then this is where I think the seed, to use one of the ideologies of the game as well, but this is where the seed was planted, and then this is what started to really grow. The idea came to merge the two fundamental use cases of both Axie Infinity and other games like PVU, because we're very passionate about the gaming side of it. I think gaming is literally going to be spearheading the integration of cryptos for the masses. I think especially because it's younger generations, so we'll be attracting them first. But we were very fascinated with this innovation that Luna created, where it's creating this algorithmic, stablecoin. So not depend in the traditional financial markets to provide the collateral in order to have a stablecoin, but try to balance it with another cryptocurrency and use other cryptocurrencies as a collateral. So to create an ecosystem that is completely independent from the traditional financial system. So we were very fascinated with this, and then we tried to then merge both of these ideas together. And this is where this concept came from, creating a binary crypto economy for the play to earn or GameFi industry. So this was like the seed of it. But as we were playing along and as we're trying to develop the game, there are a couple of different ideas that came along from, we were very inspired by many different little games that defined our childhood. So for example, Xenoverse was inspired by, Naruto. Even nowadays, in our 30s, we're still watching Naruto sometimes. Speaking about it, playing around with it. So the concept of the Xenoverse came from Shinobi, which is like the Japanese ninjas, and the chakra as well, which is like the seed that you're farming, comes from. It's inspired by Naruto as well. On the other hand, we also understood that we needed something to balance. So as far as we had a binary crypto ecosystem, so we've got two tokens that are mutually beneficial to each other, we also wanted to create a game similar to other play to earn games like PVU, where we have two crypto game universe as well. And one coin is essentially mostly used for one game, and there's a reward system for one game, and then the other token is, again, it's a reward system, and is used as a main currency, or the main currency for the other game universe, which is the farming side of it, which is the Vexiverse. We've got similar mechanics to PVU. If players are, it's pretty popular game as well, which players, I hope, in our community might be familiar with. And we're trying to not only create the next evolution of really the gameplay element of it, but actually the fundamental innovation of the crypto economy underlying the game universes. The idea behind it is just hoping to maximize the sustainability of both of these ecosystems at the same time without relying on external factors. So the reward system of one demands from the other, and they both keep balancing each other out in the long run. So this is where the idea of the game and then the idea of the gameplay and the dynamics of it came to be.
Okay, great, Jonathan. So maybe we can go into the fight mechanics, how it works for Externalverse, and the farming mechanics from the Vexiverse.
Yeah, so the gameplay in itself, well, first, is not my strong suit, so I apologize in advance if I'm not going to go into too much details. And it's something that we're still refining a little bit as we're going right now. Hence, it's one of the reasons as well that we're going through this. We went through the seed stage to raise some capital in order to develop further our the game in itself. And then secondly, that's why we're going for the pre-sale, in order to get the community to support us, because the vast majority of our efforts right now at this point in time has been put into developing the tokenomics, developing the tokens, and making sure that the simulation of those tokens are as sustainable as humanly possible. So this is where the vast majority of our efforts has gone. But the gameplay as a whole doesn't really differentiate from the gameplay and the dynamics of other NFT play-to-earn games that has been popular in the ecosystem so far. One of the key differentiations, though, is that we've also seen that in many crypto games, once they become popular, the barrier to entry becomes pretty high. Whether that be I was even playing around with Steppen, which is one of those NFTs for you to run, and then you buy the shoes and you upgrade the shoes. And then I remembered, as even though I was pretty early on, you needed to invest like $300-$500 just to buy an NFT. Then same thing with Axie Infinity, same thing with many of these other games. If you miss the very early on entry point, it creates a huge barrier to entry. So one of the main differentiation from us that we've decided very early on is that we didn't want the barrier to entry at any point in time during the development of the game and during the story of the game to affect the onboarding of other less privileged individuals as well. So we will have a free onboarding of the farming element of it, and we will have the free minting as well of the shinobis as well. So this for us is a key point that we differentiate from other games. Apart from that, the mechanics in itself, again, like I think I would relate most to maybe like PVU, where we've got different. Where does the idea? I don't know. Like, let me try to give a couple of things, but without going too deep into it. I think like the gameplay in itself starts basically saying, so first you start farming. Once you start farming, you can start planting the seeds and playing the farming game. Once that is done, you're planting the seed, and then you've got the chakra, which is the fruits. With the fruits, then you can feed your assassin, and the assassin would then consume that fruit in order to play and fight, let's say, against other players. Another differentiation in our ecosystem is that you're not gonna be fighting bots. You're gonna be fighting other players. So this element as well for us is quite important, because let's say one of the ideas as well that we found is that you can really lose track with all of the different reward system. And it made it harder for us to manipulate and simulate the reward system from one point of view. So one of the ways that we balanced out the tokenomics and the economics behind the game is that we said, even for you to attack, you can only attack someone that is willing to defend. And then someone that is willing to defend, if he defends successfully against your attack, he's going to receive a reward. Whilst if you attack and you successfully win the context, then you will get the reward. But both of you need a chakra fruit in order to participate in that fight. The reward system as a whole balances it out to be, 1.5 out of the 2 tokens that is required in order to have that exchange and in order to operate that fight. So in the grand scheme of things and at scale, what happens is that we're always getting 0.5 token, and we're charging that, and we're redistributing that, and it's being added back almost like as a tax. Either it's being added back to the liquidity pool. So I think 0.4, 0.6% of that is being added to the liquidity pool, and the vice versa. So 0.4, 0.6% of that is, I think, 0.4, but I apologize if I'm wrong in the details, is actually being rewarded back to the players that are being inviting all of these players which are playing these games. So this is a reward system as well, which is not rewarding in our liquidity pool, which some of them might be burned, some might not be burned. That is contributing to the entire crypto, to the entire Xseed community as a whole, because we are contributing to the liquidity of the whole ecosystem. But the 0.4% that is a reward for the players that invite, that's a direct contribution to the players that are inviting and broadcasting and endorsing our project. We wanted to make we really wanted to find a way to reward the players which are putting the largest amount of effort to invite other players to play the game and XYZ, instead of just rewarding players which have a bigger disposable income, like in Europe or like in the US, where they can just come, they can just buy a bunch of NFTs and then they can just loan out the NFTs, or they can loan out or sell back the plant, and they can just win money manipulating the game economics instead of actually participating in the game as a whole. I hope that makes sense.
Hey, Jonathan, so you're trying to balance out the economy, because I remember Axie Infinity went through a massive plunge because people were just sort of farming the token and then selling it. So you've got ways for the tokens to be burnt inside the game, and also it's supporting the price floor because you're going to offer some of that in-game currency back into the liquidity pools of the tokens.
Yes, correct. So yeah, we've got the idea behind it. So obviously, I know that we can speak about the tokenomics a bit later, but it's very difficult to speak about one without relating to the other. But the idea here is that whenever we were focusing our attention in the tokenomics, obviously we spoke with many mathematicians. We spoke with many other colleagues in the crypto economy. We've spoken with people that contributed to many different many developers of many different cryptos, and we created many simulations. And the ideas behind the simulations is that we just projected the games forward, and then we tried to identify what was the worst possible situations. What would happen if someone tried to manipulate the game, if someone tried to gamify the game and try to use one side of the ecosystem against the other. So if someone just bought all of the chakra plants, and then he was the only one having all the fights, or vice versa. If someone just bought all the chakra plants and then there wasn't enough fighting going on, so that ecosystem wasn't spinning enough. So we were creating all of these different simulations, and then this reward was a way to not only mitigate the gamification of the fighting, because it essentially at scale. So again, if I'm fighting with you, for example, so I'm spending one token and then you're spending one token, and then whomever wins, as an average, so obviously like one day you can win 10 tokens and then the other day you can win one token, but as an average it equals out that it's 1.5 token per fight. So the idea behind it is that there will always be 0.5 token per fight that will be redistributed through one, the liquidity, and one, the reward system. And this is one of the points that we identified that really helped us to balance each other out. But we hope that it also really encourages the gaming element as well, and the endorsement of the project.
So, Jonathan, because you stepped in as a speaker because the CEO couldn't come in, I don't know if you knew, but we've only got 30 minutes today for the AMA, so you're aware, so you can get everything in. So maybe we can go into the Crypto Exceed limited pre-sale that's on the website. I know some investors will be happy to do that, but some investors might be wary about investing in a pre-sale on the website rather than a launch pad. So how can investors get involved? Some would be happy to do that, and some might want to. Is there going to be another pre-sale on the launch pad in the future as well?
So so we've tried to be as public as possible with our roadmap. I know it's we've got loads to improve yet, but we already have a seed sale. We already spoke with many colleagues and contributors of the crypto ecosystem, and that's how we've been run so far. And this is what is also supporting the original and the first stage of liquidity for our project. But at this stage in time, we're running our pre-sale basically before we launch into decentralized exchanges like PancakeSwap, and then at this stage, the soft cap is going to be like 100K BUSD, and then hard cap 200,000. We kept it quite minimum because again, like we are quite confident with our simulations. So this is like the sweet spot. It would have been pointless for us to raise like 500,000 or 600,000 or 1 million or 10 million because we just wouldn't know what to do with that money. And we've tried to organically grow with the original investors. So this is the reason for this valuation. One of the best ways to just find out more about it is just to go to our website. In there, they've got all of the different links with there's all of the tokenomics. Everything is there. We've got a pretty public community as well in the Crypto Exceed announcement in Telegram. So any questions is there. We've got an increasing our marketing team and our collaborators are increasing by the day. So hopefully they'll be able to answer any questions I'm not answering. And then the question also that you ask is if it's going to be next rounds. So again, like once we are launched in a decentralized exchange, that, you know, the crypto ecosystem already kind of like bastardizes a little bit the venture capital industry. We're technically public at this stage. So obviously we're going to be looking at launching in other exchanges, and depending on the exchange, we might participate in the launch pad as well or not. It really depends on the exchange and how easily the project and the industry progresses in the next couple of months. But you know, after this pre-sale, will eventually be completely available to the public as it stands.
Okay, I see, Jonathan. And what's the sort of timeline for the 2 tokens to launch after the pre-sale? Is that coming up in the next month or so?
Well, again, so obviously it's a partnership as well that we're doing with Pink Slate. So I believe it's pretty much straight away. So, but even our pre-sale was delayed a little bit because there's so many technical issues happening that we don't foresee, especially in cryptos. Obviously, we always try to also adapt as best we can to the crypto ecosystem. You know, we were actually supposed to launch a little bit before, but you know, none of us could have predicted the FTX crash that just happened. But the idea as it stands right now is to launch in the 2nd of December. So this is what we're trying to commit ourselves to. And we hope to honor, you know, our investors and our fans as best we can, and to make it available for everyone, either, you know, the pre-sale investors or the public that misses it but wishes to invest or buy less tokens as early as possible. So like the plan right now is the 2nd of December.
Okay, great, Jonathan. And what's the marketing plans after launch, say, for the first quarter? How are you going to get the games and the tokens, how are you going to promote them into the future?
Oh my God. So like we've already, you know, this is one of the things that it's actually my job as well to improve. We need to create a much better repository of all of the endorsement and all of the partnerships that we already have. I know it's lacking in our website, and it's one of the first things that we should have improved, especially for the pre-sale. But right now we're already partnering with, you know, influencers and, you know, ecosystem participants and stakeholders and endorsers, you know, community participants such as yourself that is contributing to our project and speaking about the project. You're allowing us to share our project with your community, and I appreciate so much this opportunity. And we will continue to, you know, participate in these AMAs. We will be learning as it goes as well, you know, answering the community questions. We will try to clarify. We will try to take notes of all of these FAQs, and we will try to make them as public as humanly possible in our website as well, so that, you know, it's a constant development in terms of understanding what the community expects from us, and we will do our best to answer these questions as truthfully and as transparently as possible.
Okay, great, Jonathan. Let's open it up to community investor questions. Let's get a few questions in. Syed, a question for Jonathan at Crypto Exceed. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. I have a quick question. Okay, so I was thinking, will players be able to control their assassins and select the type of the attack on their nemesis, or player only have to draw the cards and the battle will be fought automatically? Can you tell us about this?
So once again, like the game economics is one of my weak parts right now. The way that the actual game economics, especially from the fighting side, is not something that is completely refined as it stands, because we're just trying to create not only the user experience as best that we can and facilitate the onboarding, but also to create a dynamic which is sustainable and encourage the continued participation of the project. But as it stands, it's just like, you know, the click of a button. We're trying to create all of these games as easily as possible. Then it will be just like a random, as it stands right now, it's just like a randomly generated number that will define the result of the fights. But as the player, one of the things that we want to facilitate, as I tried to say before, is that at least the initial process for you to start participating in the game and for you to start playing the game, we want to make it as free and as quickly as possible. And at the same time, we don't want anyone to manipulate the game, to manipulate the game in terms of just buying a lot of the tokens, buying a lot of the seed of the chakra plant, and or buying the most rare NFTs, and then just how to say, upgrading himself and then just winning every fight. So the more fights that you win, the lower your reward as well. So we will always be encouraging new players, and we will always be discouraging, let's say, the manipulation of and the gamification of the players that have an incredible amount of win rates.
Understood. Thank you so much for the explanation. Over to you, Glenn.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Syed, let's move to Venice. You had a question for Jonathan at Crypto Exceed. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Glenn. I have a question regarding gameplay. So, Jonathan, as players can choose to be an assassin or a nemesis, what if more players choose to be assassin and there will be a time when there isn't left any nemesis in the list? I mean, if there are very few nemesis and people already people are playing with those nemesis. So for that situation, how would assassin can attach and play the game with when there is not any nemesis left in the list?
So again, the one is you can only the win rate. The way the win rate is calculated is that whenever you're attacking, someone needs to be defending. So the win rates, we try to match the win rates of the players. So like the level of difficulty, the level of difficulty is proportional, and the random generator as well takes that into account in order to give you the reward. The second part of it, in terms of if you're saying if there's no more nemesis, we find that hard to believe, because like essentially we're trying to create a system where you will be almost how can I say, incentivized. You will be incentivized in order to be doing that. So the win rate and the reward mechanism will always be trying to balance each other out based on the supply and the demand of not only the tokens, but also of the playing dynamics. If that makes sense. Like, if there is basically, it's like if there is no more nemesis, you should be a nemesis, because you will be proportionally, you will be much more likely to be rewarded to be a nemesis, and then you will receive the reward, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. Thank you so much for answering my question.
No worries. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for the question, Venice. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but yeah, we've got the website, the white paper, and the official socials. You can check them out on the website in the main chat. If you've got any questions after the AMA, you can head over into the Telegram and their other socials if you've got any questions to ask regarding the Crypto Exceed project today. It's been great speaking to Jonathan. As we say, WellCoin talks for research and educational purposes. It's not financial advice, but yeah, that's what we recommend. You do your research. If you like what you see, go and have a chat with the team and the community, and get involved. And there's a pre-sale on the website if you done your research and you want to get involved. Yeah, the pre-sale's up for, I think, for the next 3 days. Is it, Jonathan?
Yes. So we've started 2 days ago, and we're already ongoing, and it's going to last for the next couple of days. So hopefully, everyone can see the same vision and can participate. But otherwise, as I said, I would first and foremost thank you for your time. Thank you, all of the participants and your community. And again, like, we want to make it as easier as possible for people to play the game, and it's not a requirement for you to invest in order for you to play the game.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. Take care. Yeah, it seems really interesting with the gaming mechanics and the 2 tokens and the balancing of the economy inside Crypto Exceed. So yeah, definitely check it out if you want to from the community. And I'll finish recording and send over a copy for you to share with your community. I'll send that into the main chat for anyone who couldn't join the call today. And take care, Jonathan. Thank you very much.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you so much to your community. All the best, guys. Bye-bye.